Hello there, my mate Vince here, and another episode on the car. So now, this is going to be a bit of a weird one, and I know I'm going to get so much hate for this, and I haven't actually made up my mind. I think I'm probably not going to do it, but it has been crossing my mind. So obviously, I've done a lot of work to this car already, you know, like the wheel arches and everything like that. The old wrap had to come off it. It had to come off it because I had to do all this work down here. Also, I didn't like the fact that it was originally a grey car and then it was down, you know, it was wrapped as a blue and a silver car. So I know it's madness to take a wrap off and then put a wrap on, but it has just crossed my mind, what if I was to put a grey wrap on it? Because the bodywork now is solid. You know, I've done the wheel arches. You know, you can't fix the wheel arches with wrap on it. And obviously, I know everybody's going to want it resprayed. And I very kindly have had Norfolk Man Cave offer to respray it for me. Obviously, I'd have to pay him, but he did say that, you know, he wouldn't charge me too much. I didn't ask what too much was. See, I can get the wrap for the car for around about £400 or £500, and I'm just wondering, would it be a novelty to give it a go? So I think what I'm going to do right now is, I've got two samples off eBay, and this lighter sample here, apologies, they have still got the polythene on, but they're both kind of very close to the colour. One's slightly darker, one's slightly lighter, but basically when I've been going across different parts of the car, I think the lighter one blends in more than the darker one, especially where the sun's hitting. So I'm just going to wrap the petrol cap. That's all I'm doing, just to see what it looks like. And then, you know, if it kind of looks nice and stuff, then that might make up my mind. Because everyone I've spoken to is like, no Vince, you have to respray it. And I know I have to respray it. It's just that I've just got so much money to spend on this car still, with the insurance and the tax, fixing the suspension, getting the wheels fitted. I mean, the tyres cost a fortune. I'm just very mindful of spending £2 or £3 grand on a respray, like very, very, very mindful. So let me just pop one of these, the lighter one, on the petrol cap, and let's see what it looks like. Well, it's not as easy as putting on a 1986 Panini football sticker, but it's certainly quicker than spraying. But you know what? I did get one that's supposed to be shiny, but I can't see my reflection in it. So I didn't go for a matte one, but I would have thought a shiny one would have been more mirror-like finish. So would it make the car always look dull? Also, not sure about the colour. Let me persevere for a bit. Right, I used my brain and I just took it off because there was only 4 nuts to undo. And yeah, I'm just wrapping it round. It's interesting. I'm just using this old hairdryer on it, and yeah, it's certainly not easy, but it seems to be shrinking, I think, on the corners, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of everything on such a tight radius. Yeah, it's a lot harder than I thought it would be, even this little bit here, and I've got this off the car, so I think if you were trying to do a big panel, it would be really, really testing. But I'm just going to cut around, you know, these bits here. Annoyingly, I went a little bit short here. I wanted that to come all the way to the ends. And I'm just going to keep applying the heat just to see if I can get the creases away a bit more than that. Well, I've got it back on the car and I absolutely hate it. It's horrible. It is absolutely horrible. But you know what? That was the best £7.98 I ever spent. I think it was £3.99 per sample. And I know now. But what I'm going to do is just to settle my OCD on the matter, because I don't want to waste any more brain power on it, I'm going to take this one off and I'm going to put on the darker one, just to see. The darker one might be shinier. To begin with, I don't like the colour. Secondly, if you look at the reflection of my watch in here, and bearing in mind this isn't clean here, this is already dirty, but I can actually tell the time. Well, it's obviously back to front, but I can tell the time there, and then when I move to here I can barely see my watch. So although it's supposed to be shiny, it's just not. It's really still very, very dull. Obviously it's not matte, but it's not shiny either. So yeah, and obviously people are going to say yes, Vince, because that's Rolls Royce paint. Let's go over to my paint here, which is you know, equally dirty. But if you have a look, can you see, you can still tell the time of the watch in here, in the reflection. Right, so just to settle my curiosity, I'm going to put the other one on, and then just settle for saving the money for a respray. Oh my, I'm already learning, and I haven't watched a YouTube video yet. You have to stretch it round the corners, so you heat it up, and it's actually quite stretchy, a bit like cling film, but not to the extreme level of that. But look at that corner now. It's a lot better than the previous time. Right, this one is much shinier. Look at that. Let me see if it can do my watch in the... Yes, it can. What's going on? It was from the same listing, just a different colour. And also, look how much more professional it looks. Because I noticed before I could see on the top ones that I could see lines. But it's all about stretching it round. So I think a professional would be able to get this absolutely perfect by just stretching and stretching and stretching. It's incredible how much this stuff does stretch. So yeah, there you go. You can see it's much better than the last attempt. Obviously still not perfect, but remember this is on the inside. Oh no, this could be troublesome now. I think when I put that on, it's going to look nice. I'm going to be in a dilemma again. Anyway, let's whack it on and see. Hopefully it will look bad, because I know the right thing to do is spray it. But that was quite nice to do. Okay, I've got it back on, and I promise you I haven't closed it to have a look yet. But this decision could end up costing me loads of subscribers. And I know people think, no, it won't, Vince. But no, honestly, decisions like this, people could be so fickle that they would stop watching the whole series in disgust, like a protest. Right, here goes. Here goes. Ooh. Ooh. Well, the shine's there. The shine, to be fair, is not as good as this, but this is Rolls Royce finish. That shine there, the kind of orange peel on it. Look at that. Look at that. I can fully tell the time on that watch. The orange peel on that is identical to the finish that I got here. Absolutely identical. Wow. Now, colour wise, I'm not sure. It looks a bit purpley, does it? It doesn't. Oh, I don't know. I don't think I like it. See, when I'm over it there, it looks great. It looks, you know, the same. But then when I go to here, it takes on a kind of purpley brown tone. Well, annoyingly, I'm as undecided now as I was when I got the two samples. So the first one, 100% I wasn't happy with. But you know, I'm really happy with that one, and I'm really happy with how it went on. I actually enjoyed doing it. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to make any decisions on it right now. Right, it's a few days later now, and I love it when decisions are made for me, rather than me having to make the decision. So I've come along today. It's nice and sunny. It's been sunny for the last few days. And look what I spy. It hasn't stuck in the corner here. So basically, that's my mind made up. I suppose maybe I didn't have it clean enough, or maybe I didn't wrap it round enough. I was just trying to make it look neat on the inside, but maybe there wasn't enough stuff there to stick. So yeah, fantastic. I'm happy now. The car's getting a respray. I can, you know, just move on with something else. I don't have to worry. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start getting my tyres changed over. So this is the spare. This was an original Whitewall one. I'm going to keep this one as my spare, because this really is the only tyre, although it's old. I think it's from, there you go, 1507. So it's very old, but this is the only one that isn't actually perished, and there's still good tread on it. So I'm hoping, look at all the spiders. Look at them all. Whoa, there's loads. They're all flying around here. They must have just hatched. There you go, my car's good for something. Spider nursery. I'm hoping it's going to pass the MOT with that as a spare, because obviously it's very old now. That tyre is coming up to 16 years old, isn't it? The 15th week. No, in fact, it's more than that. It is 16 years old. So yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I can only take 2 tyres at a time to get done, because I haven't got enough jacks to jack up the car completely. So I'm going to take this one off now, and then I'm going to get 2 nice new white walls put on, and then I'll take the 2 tyres off the other side, and I think what I'll try to do is a bit of interior work today. Maybe I might even try to weld up the window bit over there. The central lock in here isn't working properly, it only locks, it doesn't open the car. I might look into that, but there's plenty to be getting on with. Well, another problem I've just uncovered, and it wasn't here before, the parking brake. I've just gone to put it on and it keeps springing back. I've got to stamp down on it as hard as I possibly can, like put all my weight holding the steering wheel like this, standing up on the thing in order to get it to latch on. So yeah, I mean, it hasn't been on in a while because I've kind of left it loose because, you know, the car hasn't been moving, but now I've jacked it up. I want to have it on. Oh, look at that, look at my nice new pipe work there. This will give me an opportunity as well to torque up my the caliper bolts, and also there were some pins that I need to grease up as well. I bought some, like, you know, special brake grease and stuff like that, so yeah, that's good. What I'm going to do on these tyres, I'm not quite sure how they balance them. I'm hoping that they'll put them on the inside. There's not a lot of room on the outside because of the hubcaps, but the weird thing is there's nothing on this one. But just in case they're going to stick weights on, I've got myself a little wire brush, and I'm just going to go around this area here because otherwise they'll stick weights straight onto that. I'm just going to put my mask on just in case there's any nasty materials in there. I know brake pads used to have asbestos in them. I'm not sure if this one, hopefully it's after that, but still, just in case. I don't even know if this is fine enough to stop the asbestos particles from going through, but I suppose it's better than just breathing them in. State of that. Right, the daisies don't look so nice now. Sound like Darth Vader. Look, I didn't notice that before. There is a weight there, so they must put them on the inside. So that's fine. So they're not going to be sticking any lead onto here. They're going to be crimping it onto the sides, which is great. Alright, so that's the surface kind of bubbling rust gone. Originally these would have always been sprayed black, but there's bigger things to do at the moment. Anyway, let's go get some white walls fitted. Right, here's a tyre place, Tyre Farm in Rayners Lane. My family's been coming here for years, so if you happen to be local and you want your tyres, think about checking them out. Well, I would love to be able to explain what's going on here, but I can't, so you just have to watch the master at work. It looks like this machine is certainly a nice bit of gadgetry. So it looks like you can break the seal. This tyre was already flat, but I presume when you break it there you have a sudden escape of air. And I think this is kind of working as an extra strong third hand, so you're kind of ramming it in there while rotating the wheel, and that way then it allows the tyre to come off the rim, and then you do it on the other side as well, so you can discard the old tyre. Using the grinding thing just to clean up the rim there, so it makes a good seal where the tyre meets the wheel, because you could get a bit of corrosion and stuff, so you want that to be good. So it looks like some soapy solutions used maybe to ease the tyre onto the rim, you know, to make it slide past each other nicely. Whether that actually adds to a better seal or not, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it just all washes away or whether it always remains slightly lubricated on the inside there to make the seal. I presume it's probably mostly to allow this third arm type thing to go on and get the tyre on to the rim. After that, it's just a case of pumping it up. And now it's a case of bringing it over to the balancing machine. Now the balance machine balances the wheel once the tyre's on there. I had a car years ago where I got a tyre change, and he said he doesn't think that the balancing, not here, another place, doesn't think that the balancing machine's working. And basically it wasn't. He told me to go on the motorway, see what it feels like. When I got to about 60 miles an hour, the steering wheel really started to vibrate quite violently left to right. Well, not violently, but you know, a good inch or so left to right. It was a horrible ride. And that's because the wheels were unbalanced. I didn't notice them at low speed, but high speed I did.
So basically you have to hit different weights on at different parts to make it balanced. Initially I thought it must be balancing the wheel left to right. Now watching back this video, I'm thinking it must be balancing the wheel top to bottom to make sure that the spin of the wheel is nice. So you put weights on at different parts to make it balance between the top and the bottom, I presume. If I'm wrong, you can correct me in the comment section down below. Also, there's some weights stuck on as well. Maybe they would be to fine tune it, so hammer on the weights onto the rim for the bigger weights, and then the smaller ones to just fine tune it. I wish I could tell you all this in more detail, but I can't. I'm just watching back the video and trying to work out what's going on. What I do know is how to read out the My Mate Vince Massive, so let's do that now. The members this month are kitdigital.com, Kip Hakes, Max Rokotansky, Having Fun Repairs, Chris Seal, Felipe at MrKeeps.com, DJVG, Pixie, Robert from Timsey's Auto Air, Daniel Watson, Zeke C, Anthony Dean, Bazatu, Russ Melanson, Ennis Garbett, Gaspar Heller, Richard Bergland and Jacob Culpin. So a massive thank you to the Massive, and also a massive thank you to Ty Farm Tyre and Service Centre, because they couldn't have been more accommodating when I asked would it be okay if I filmed the process, because I thought you guys might like to see it.
Probably all over the place. Yeah. Do the numbers just have to be the same on both sides, or do you have to get it to 0?
The allowance is 10 on either side.
Okay.
So you can have 10 and 10 and that'll still be fine.
Sure. But you want them the same on both sides?
Pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
Stick on one side. 5, that's pretty good.
Ah, my lovely blue wool tyre. Nice do they look. They've even got the markings round here as well. Something about new tyres, I think it's the smell. So I'm going to get them both fitted and then jack up the other side of the car and rinse and repeat for the other side. Look at those bad boys, check them out. So nice. It looks more like a banger racing car now for some reason. It looks mean with them on. I like it. Right, I'm not going to put the hubcaps on yet. I've got matching hubcaps now. I bought 2. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in the previous video, but I think the original ones for this car didn't have these slots in it here. I think they might be for a Shadow or for an early model Spirit, but on my car I had 2 of these type ones on the front and then 2 of the original ones at the back, so I had to buy 2 regardless. So I went for the ones that I like. Although it's not completely original with the car, to me it makes so much difference seeing those little slots rather than just having it completely filled in. And it means I can sell the other ones anyway, so you know, they're about £50 on eBay, so I'm sure I'll probably sell the other ones for a similar price. Oh, loving it. And here we have the other 2, so I'm going to pop them on now. Interestingly, I didn't ask why, but there's a mixture of weights. So you've got the big ones down here and here, and then like little ones there, you know, the stick-on ones. The problem with the stick-on ones is, unless the wheel's really clean, I suppose there's a chance that they will fall off. I mean, I did brush the wheels down, but these wheels are still far from clean. I wonder, are these for like the big amounts, and then they're for tiny amounts, you know? Because there's not much lead there, while there's big lumps of lead here. So maybe you do the fine tuning with that. Maybe this is where you do the main tuning and then the fine tuning. So yeah, really, really pleased that I've got them done. And £15 a tyre. I thought that was very, very reasonable. So £60. Well, actually, I gave a £10 tip earlier, and then he let me have these ones for £10 less. So yeah, including tip, £60. But £15 a tyre, I thought was very, very reasonable. Right, let's get them fitted. You know, it throws me every time because I'm such a man of lefty loosey, righty tighty, and these are lefty tighty, righty loosey. So yeah, it feels so alien doing that on this side. Just filling up a bucket of water here to wash the blue walls to make them white walls, and my dad was filling it up for ages, and it's there's a big hole in the bucket. Right, I've got my son helping me today. He decided to come along in sensible footwear.
To be fair, looking back at the video, it was sensible footwear, because if it was me, I would have got my trainers and socks sopping wet. While with flip-flops, they dry within a few minutes in the sun. So yeah, he did actually use his brain. it looks the same sort of blue when you peel off things, but you know, like peel off the blue cellophane stuff from plastic, but it's not. This is actually some kind of like paint coating on it. Oh man, that's looking good. Ah, looks lovely. I'm so glad I went with the white walls. Right, my son's just washing the white walls. I've got to get used to this. And someone else do the work for a change. Anyway, look, it's started to work again now. So I still have to go far down, but I think what it is before it was easier to push further down because there was no carpet. But yeah, it seems to be locking up again now, which is good. So down, locks, and then you use this to release it. But I just put my foot on here just to save it kind of flying upwards. So I actually think that that's okay now. It might have just needed a bit of loosening up because earlier on I was having to stamp down on that. I think what this car needs, it just needs to be on the road running. The poor thing's been laid up for so long now. I'm amazed there's not more going wrong with it. Not kind of sure what I want to get stuck into, if I'm honest with you, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to empty out the boot, I think, and maybe try to get the carpet back in, or at least maybe get the side panels or something back in. The carpet cleaner is actually one of my brothers has borrowed that, so that's I haven't got that to clean the carpet, but if we can kind of empty it out, then at least I might be able to do that in the next episode possibly. You ready? Look at that. Remember, that needs to be sprayed and also cable tied on. But how nice do the white walls look? Really, really vibrant. I'm so happy I went with them. Look at that. I love them. I don't know if I showed you this before, so there's going to be carpet all down here, but you might wonder what this is for. You open it up, and the spare tyre's under there, and you can check. So what you do is when you put your spare tyre in, you make sure that the valve is here, and then you can check to make sure that it's up to the correct pressure. Isn't that nice? Looking good. Right now, against all odds, believe it or not, the boot lock has worked ever since. Obviously I haven't been driving it, but that fix that we did in whatever episode it was in, episode 5, is still working fine. So I can put this back on now. This never came with the car here, probably because there was a problem with the boot. But there we go. So that's going to light up nicely now, and that fits up here somewhere like that in the middle, and that covers up the boot lock. So I just need to find the correct screws and screw that all back in. And yeah, I think I'm going to work on this today, make it look nice. But the carpet is filthy, it does need to be cleaned, but I'm just going to get it in for the time being. And then when I get the carpet cleaner back, I can just use the handheld tool on stuff like that and try to get all that horrible green out of it. I think that's just leaked from where the bottles used to be stored, because there's a big green patch on the carpet here. In fact, you can see it's gone down to here. There was a place that you could store 2 bottles of the hydraulic fluid for because I think it's designed to be topped up. Now we've got loads of cables here going up to this little grommet here. So I think I was told in previous episodes that it's probably to do with an aerial for mobile phones, you know, when mobile phones first of all came out. So yeah, I suppose the top end cars would have had something like that. There's also that there as well. So what I'm going to do is I won't be using any of that, so I'm just going to cable tie all this up neatly, and then we can wrap them up here out of harm's way. So they're cable tied up out of harm's way up here. And this one here isn't standard. They run this one, I presume, for the stereo, but remember I've brought the stereo back to factory now. So that was a little inline fuse in there, and it's also taped up, but I took out the inline fuse so there's no danger of any voltage shorting to the chassis. Right, check this out. Look at that, all back on, lining up nicely with the line going across there. So now that's nice and covered up, and look at this here. Ta-da! It works. It works. And Ben, could you hit that little button I showed you earlier, the white button in the corner? There you go, and let go. Excellent. And in case you're curious as to where this button is, if yours is playing up on your car, it's just in there. This one here. So excellent. My son's busy writing Patreon names there. I'll show those later on in the video. Right, on to the next thing. Now I think before I do any more in the boot, I've got to put these bumper bits back on here, because they've got to bolt through, and I'm not going to be able to get to them, I don't think. No, because that's in the boot rather than underneath, yeah. So annoyingly, I've got to put the bumper bits back on.
Check out the daisies, look at that. Did you know they're doing a thing now, which I think is a really good idea? Don't cut your grass in May, because it gives like bees a chance to do what they need to do. Because as we all know, bees are super important. Look at the amount of daisies there. So my dad's following it as well, not cutting the grass in May. It's lovely, isn't it? Right, do you know, for me, this is the biggest letdown on the car. Not only are these all horrible and bashed up, but I don't know, I just really wish it had chrome bumpers. If it had chrome bumpers, it would just look, in my opinion, a million times better. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, obviously when it gets a respray and stuff, if it's looking nice and these bumper bits are letting it down, then I can look into buying new ones. But at this moment in time, the ones on eBay seem to be even worse than the ones I have. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame, because you can see this is just all bashed up here. And look at this one. I mean, look at the state of that. That's supposed to be a nice curve. It's just all over the place. I mean, maybe I could try to bash it down in another video, but I'm never going to be able to press that to make it nice again. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to spray all this up. I think this is what drags it in towards the car, and I suppose if it's a bit seized up, it could end up sitting away from the car. And the biggest problem here is that that's all gone rusty, and you see this has all gone rusty, and it's pushing the bumper away from here. I mean, even this is spring loaded, which is kind of nice, but can you see here it's all kind of delaminating. I presume that's aluminium then, because it's kind of gone powdery like aluminium, and I think it's bursting out. It's a lot wider here than here. I mean, this looks good, but this one here is about twice the width. You know, look at it there, and I suppose it's pushing the bumper out. So I know it's a bit medieval, but I'm just going to get a hammer and an old chisel, and I'm just going to knock away some of this stuff here, so hopefully the bumper may fit more nicely in towards the car. I don't think it will. The whole bumper itself is gone. There's nothing really that can be done about it. It's had a whack, I think, at some stage back here. I might be able to, if I sort of lift this out here again, it's probably just where it's rusted and it's popped out. So if I pull it out and get the hammer and get rid of some of the rust, I might be able to get that to sit around a bit better. Alright, so I've just sprayed that up with oil now, and you can see how it works. It goes out like that on the car, and then because of the springs, it will want to pull this in. Yeah, and I've just used a hammer and chisel to try to scrape away the rust from here. These bumpers have gone basically. They need in this instance they need replacing. I'm just going to mess around here for a bit. I've got my safety goggles on. That there and that there have broken. They should be on the other one. So I don't even know if this is going to, I don't think it's going to go on whatsoever. I'll have to see what fixing I've got. But I can see that this bolt goes right the way through here. So this would have originally been on the bumper. To clamp it on there. So I'm not sure how it's going to actually fix on this side. Right, so I've sprayed up both of these. These sides here, those will be fine. It's this side here. So you can see on this bumper, the bolts are still attached to the bumper, and you can see it's like a metal insert covered with rubber. While here, because it's so rusty, you can just see like the metal insert. I'm wondering whether or not, if I can get the same bolts as these, and I have got a bolt kit, but I don't know what the bolts are made out of. I don't know how easy it will be to weld them on. But really, I've got no way of fixing that to here. Zero way of fixing that. So I can undo these bolts and hopefully whack these out. But unless, you know what, let me whack them out, and maybe I might be able to put the bolts back into here. You know what I mean? This side here. If I grind them back, I might be able to weld them onto here, because how would they have been fixed originally? Unless there's some sort of pressure fit. Anyway, let me mess with that for a bit. I've thrown him in at the deep end just so I'll give him a nice rusty bolt to work on. It's coming loose. At least we've got access to that one. This one in here is going to be much harder because it's in this little box section.
Right, we managed to undo that one there, which is good. So if I can, this is, what's happening now? I'll have to, oh yeah, see that's gone from in there, so that's a little cap that goes in. So I suppose what I'm going to have to do is use the mole grips on here and try to undo that there. I'm not too sure yet what I'm going to do here, but basically on this one, this socket here is too big to get into the box section, so we're having to use just a ring side of that spanner. But the only problem is it leaves next to no room because it's in this box section. But look, if you get it here, and now I'm going to get my son just to put the mole grips on here for a bit of extra leverage, and I have just managed to just kind of break it. Go down, go down, go down. Okay, and now, okay, right, now let's move up to this one. There we go, I'll try to do it from here. And now go down. Would be better if we had a bigger spanner. There you go. And now we've just got to keep doing that, and hopefully that will get this one out. I can't actually weld anything into here because you see the metal's gone. That's all. I thought that was still going to be metal, but it's not. That's rubber here. It's completely gone. It's just completely rusted through. So that's not an option. Because if I put a new piece of metal in here, which I could do, it's not going to hold in. So there's nothing for it to grip onto. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to use these right the way through, and maybe that's how they were being held on for the previous however many years. And then basically with these things here, they get pushed through in locations like that, and then these here slide all the way on. You've got to slide them all the way on from here, going right the way along like that. But on here I've only actually got two. This one here is broken. You can see that needs to be welded onto there. Right, instead of using these, I'm thinking I can put these, because as long as I get them right the way through and I pull them right the way in, and they're not going to impede this trim. And that way then we can get a nice, get a nice fixing on the other side, as long as I use something that's long enough. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know what metal this is. It might be stainless steel, in which case then I'm pretty sure it's not going to weld. But I'm going to give it a go. Even if I can get something on there, it might be better than nothing. Wow, I think it's actually held. Right, let me try to do this side. Love welding. It's very bent. Hold on 1 second. Look at that. It's always hot. Let me get a hammer and try to whack that into place. What I love about welding is, like I said before, like super glue is good, as in it's quite satisfying because it goes off quick, but this is just insane. Like one tap and boom, solid. I love it. I didn't do it in the middle either. Well, I think it will do. I'm just going to try to get another weld the other side, just because I enjoy it. That is so satisfying. Oh, I want more things to weld now. Right, because the one I've done is a little bit crooked, obviously because I've welded it and I had to hammer it into place, I'm putting it at the very end. So it's going to be too hard if I put it in the middle here to get the trim past it. But the idea is now I can fit this to the car, and then when it's fitted to the car, I'll be able to slide this on here and do it all the way along. And then I'm hoping, because of the springs at the front here, there we go, yep. I'm hoping because of the springs at the front, I'll be able to lift it out and get access to do up this one, and this one, because I can't do it up tight now.
because I need the slack to be able to put it in. But I'm quite hopeful that I am going to be able to do this now by just putting bolts right the way through. Right, I'm trying to get this trim on, but what happens is when I slide it here, it's fine. But then when I try to get all this bent bit into the back bit of the bumper, this one here keeps popping out. And I think it's because if you look here, it's nice and flat to begin with, and then can you see a concave starts and it goes in here. So that's like a little mini ramp, while this is nice and flat. So what I'm doing is, luckily, this ruler here fits perfect. So I'm just putting it on here and I'm hitting it with the rubber mallet just to try to take out the concave from the middle of it. Really is incredibly fiddly. So what I've done is I've loosened off that bolt again, and now I'm hoping I can get this in, but you can see how bashed up it is. Really, it just needs to be, I need a new trim. Maybe you can buy them. Right, seems a little bit pointless spending so long on this when I know I'm never going to be happy with that, but still. What I've done is I've just crushed up that a little bit there, and there's actually a clip just in here, but the nuts, I can't loosen it off because it's so rusted on the other side. But I've just had a little dry run now, and that now fits in here, so I think this time I'll be able to get it. Fingers crossed. Come on. Yes. Yes, we're in. Right. Oh, yes, look at that. Oh, look at that. It's gone right the way in. Right, I'm going to do up all the bolts now, and this is what the spring's for, so you can lift it out at the front, and you can get to these, the screws. You can lift it out here, you see, so you can get in there. Oh, hallelujah. Right, here we go. So you know what? I think that looks better than when I got the car, because I think before it was really coming out here. It's still coming out at the front, but not a huge amount. You can see that ideally this would need to be back more. Yeah, it would need to, ideally that would need to be back about 1 centimetre. But, well, you know, maybe I'll try to loosen up the bolts and pull them back a tiny little bit. I'm just a bit mindful because back here, you see, it's fitting quite nice. Can you see this bit here? Forget about this part of the bumper, but this bit here is coming around quite nice there. And there's not a massive gap. I'm sure when I got it, there was a big gap there. So it's looking all right. Obviously, the trim here looks awful. But I'll be honest with you, I'm happy with that. I think I'm pretty happy with that. I won't really know until I'm stood right back having a look at it. But I think it's looking okay, and I'm loving the white walls, absolutely loving them. And it's nice to be able to see a bit of the boot again. So yeah, I am going to call it a day. I think I'm going to come back on this now, maybe on Bank Holiday Monday, and then just continue on with the other side of the bumper and just trying to get all the boot stuff back. So now I've got to end up getting all this back in the boot, which is a shame. But look at those white walls there. They look absolutely amazing. Even with that paintwork, the car's starting to come together. Fantastic. Right, well that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a massive thumbs up, and I will see you for the next part, hopefully in about a week's time. Thank you so much for watching. If you're a Patreon, over the next minute or so, you'll be able to pause the video at different stages, see if you can spot your name. If you're not there, don't worry. It's a big car. There's still plenty more space to put names in. I'd love to see the person in the future taking this apart and just see all these names everywhere and just thinking, what on earth is going on? And then you never know, they might discover this, if YouTube's still going, if I'm still around, they might discover this series of videos and then think, what? Oh my word. So yeah, guess how long I spent on that car today
not including the other day when I was messing around with the wrap, just purely from when I started taking the wheels off and taking them to the Thai farm tyre place. 10 hours. Unbelievable, isn't it? If you had said to me in the morning, how long would it take you to make a couple of trips to the tyre place and empty out the boot and put the corner bumper on, I'd be like, yeah, a couple of hours, no problem. It's unbelievable where the time goes. 10 hours. And I had my son helping me, doing, washing the white walls, putting all the names everywhere and stuff, helping me undo a couple of bolts and stuff. And I had my dad help me tidy away, help me, load the tyres into the car and stuff. It's just, time just whizzes by. Same as when you're working on a house. You think you'll paint a room, paint the ceiling, and paint all the skirtings and doors, or varnish the doors in a couple of days. And even after a whole week, you're still struggling to get it finished. It's really weird how, not just me, but we all seem to underestimate how long things take, and everything just takes so long, especially on this car anyway. It seems to just take forever. But anyway, it was enjoyable. Sun was shining, birds were chirping, and what's there not to like? If you did like this, there will be hopefully another video on the car in about a week or so, depending on how things pan out. And in the meantime, hopefully there will be other videos on the blue or yellow matte if I'm feeling mischievous. Take care, everyone. See you soon.